have to call.
She's got that on recording.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, Chief. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this party started.
Thumbs up.
Yes.
All right. Well, it is 7:06. We will call this meeting to order. Ruth, would you take roll, please?
Andy Hitchcock,
Here.
Lindsay Self,
Here.
Martin O'Toole.
Here.
Cindy Matej.
Here.
All right. We have one thing on the agenda tonight. Before we do that, let's review the meeting minutes from June 18th. Did everyone have a chance to take a look at those? And if yes, any questions, comments, adjustments?
Nope.
Okay. Hearing no comments, I would make a motion to approve the June 18 BZA meeting minutes as is.
I second them.
Wonderful. Ruth?
Andy Hitchcock,
Yes?
Lindsay Self,
Abstain?
Martin O'Toole,
Yes.
Cindy Matej.
Yes.
All right. So that brings us to agenda item number 1, BZA case number 2511. Before we do that, Chris, will you please swear in our guests?
Yes, please raise your right hand.
Excellent.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
All right. With that out of the way, we're here to discuss a variance for a fence requiring, that doesn't meet the required 25% vertical opening. So we've seen the application, taken a look at the pictures, so I'll spare everyone the whole down and dirty. Mr. and Mrs. Barger, if you could just give us a brief overview of what, why we're here tonight, maybe what the project entailed, and we'll have some questions for you.
Okay, we've been looking to redo our patio for the last couple of years. Finally found a contractor that we trusted and wasn't charging a broken amount of money. So we came in and we had privacy panels. They were, for lack of a better term, Home Depot vinyl that were there when we moved in. So I asked a couple of contractors, do we need to worry about anything with the village, and they said, well, as long as it's taking down something that's already erected, usually fine. So that made sense to me. So that's took it down. They put up the panels. I believe, as you saw the first part of it, they were too high. And I think what happened, they put the post. They did it in separate days. They put the posts in, and then when they came back the next day, they just went all the way to the top, which I believe is about 7.5 feet or something, is that what it was, something like that. So when I got back that night, I knew that there was gonna be a problem, so I called him, and he said, yeah, I can come down and cut it. It'd take me about 10 days to get out there. He was in another job. I said, that's fine. In the meantime, that's when we got the violation notice. So we had to cut down. Honestly, I had no idea that there was a ordinance that separated between the vertical and the horizontal. Why it is because I've seen both in the village, so it didn't even register with me until we got the violation notice.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Very good. Thank you, and you'll have an opportunity to share other things if you want.
Okay.
I'm sure the board will have some questions for you. I guess one question that I have for Dave, maybe you can explain to the board how we define a vertical opening. I did look through the definitions in our code, and I didn't see anything specific. And so I guess I just want to make sure that we are interpreting this appropriately, that for every 4 inches of horizontal space, there's a 1 inch gap. Is that the intent of
What you're asking for is 25% vertical opening. So what that leads into is a 2x4, a 1x6, and 1x6 on the other side gives you 25%. So that's what you're looking for, 25% vertical opening.
Okay.
Don't know, it's been in the code for a long time. Me and Mary were talking about it. It's one of the things that nobody ever wanted to change in 35 years, but that's what they mean by it, 25% vertical opening.
Okay.
They're trying to eliminate stockade fences, is what your whole objective was.
Okay. but we don't have anything in the code that addresses the horizontal fence.
No,
Thank you, appreciate that. So could you guys give us a sense, I can see it in the picture, there's obviously gaps in between the boards, if you had to guess.
So it's about, they're about an inch. There's some, they vary, there's a few that are maybe an inch and a quarter, just by the weight of the boards.
Right.
But it's basically, they're an inch apart,
Okay,
to be consistent from the bottom. I mean, it's not, I think the first board is a little bit like 3 inches off the ground maybe, but, yeah, it's about an inch to be, exact.
okay. And if you stacked those boards top to bottom, if there were no gaps in between, from the ground to the top of the 6 feet, how much of a gap do you think would be left at the top? Like if you add up all the gaps.
I think the one, I tried to figure that out, I think the one side, it's about 12, just over 12 inches total of space, and the other side maybe, it depends on when you measure, are you measuring
Right.
from the other side maybe 13,
Okay, so,
maybe, so it's about 12 to 13 inches of, if you stack them from there to the top, that's what I figured.
6 feet tall, so
Yeah.
15 or 16% of the vertical space is a gap
That's
between the
18
boards.
and 18 would be 25%, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's 12 to 13 inches
Okay.
right now.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you.
Our code doesn't specify that a fence is for enclosure purposes. Because to me, this isn't a fence. So, and you know, I mean, I didn't write the code, but to me, the purpose of a split rail fence, which is what we allow, whether we should allow more fences or not, doesn't matter, is for the enclosure of a property. If the purpose here is screening, there is nothing that you can do that would be compliant with the code if this is defined as a fence to meet the needs of a screening purpose. Like if you put a split rail fence there, that would, I don't think the neighbors would like that,
Right.
but it would defeat the entire purpose.
To that point, Lindsay, one of my questions was, our code says, as it talks about a fence along a lot line.
Mhm.
And by the map, I think we're 35 to 45 feet away from either lot line.
Yes.
So
Maybe
it's-
more on one side possibly.
Okay, so it's, to your point, whether it's codified, it doesn't even resemble a fence, but,
No, I mean, this is a privacy screen, right?
Yeah.
It happens to be made out of wood, but this is a privacy screen. You can do the same thing by putting up one of those picket things and the flowers grow up it, whatever. I mean, there's lots of different ways that you can put up a privacy screen, but that's, to me, that's what that is.
And the code doesn't differentiate, that's considered a fence?
no, it doesn't.
because it's
It just
considered
talks about
structure?
fences and what it falls into that category. And our solicitor, we're, and the mayor, we're trying to come up with some kind of different verbiage for this fencing thing. We're having some issues with it, not so much with the property here, but swimming pool fences, privacy screening, all we do is say something about fences, and fences is a fence, whether
Yeah.
it's vertical opening, horizontal opening. It don't make a whole lot of sense because if you walk up to a vertical opening fence, you still can't see through it unless you peek around and look. And same thing with this fence here. Stand up top and look down and you're gonna see nothing,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are privacy fences, right? A fence that encloses a property that's 7 feet tall, the boards are close together, so you can't see into the property at all. But I don't think that that's what this is.
We had another case in here some number of months ago, and I think that the people at that point, they were using the fence, I think for a privacy purpose, and it was at the edge of their property, but it wasn't a continuous fence. It was just like a piece of a barrier and a piece of a barrier, right? And I think even then we had a conversation about when is a fence a fence,
yes.
but at least in that case, they were proximate to where one would expect to find a fence, so therefore it's a fence. But I think we don't know when is a fence sometimes.
The one we're talking about here, in this case here, is actually, like we talked about screening, okay?
Yeah, right, yeah.
It complied with all the zoning except for the vertical opening.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
So you said there was something there previously.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a neighbor complain about your previous privacy screen?
No.
Have you had any neighbors complain about this privacy screen?
Yeah, when we did.
Yes, so
That's why we're here.
when we got the violation notice, it mentioned about the HOA, approval. So my wife had been on the HOA board in Chicken Lake for about 6 years. And back at that time, it was the same thing. It was like, if you were replacing something, it wouldn't be a problem. So, but we reached out to the HOA board and they said, as long as the neighbors on both sides don't have a problem, they won't even have a meeting. So we emailed both neighbors. The one neighbor was fine, the other neighbor was not, because they brought up things in the past that didn't even correspond to what we were doing. The ironic thing is they have the exact same Home Depot grade privacy panel on their side, on their fence that was put in after we moved in. And
Yeah.
so I think it's just they're a little bit disgruntled about other things.
Now, would that be the neighbor as we are looking at this picture behind us?
Yeah, on each side.
Yeah.
Can I ask Dave a question? So if they put up, as he's saying, Home Depot, but it's like the trucks that they put up, or I think it's called that, the plastic fencing. We don't have any codes for that though. I mean, do we? I mean, I didn't see anything and those aren't open or slatted or anything.
So there's glass in between theirs, it's board to board to board,
Yeah.
and there's no light going through, so I feel that just because they're turned this way, there's a problem. I mean, it wasn't our intent, actually, it's a very beautiful story about how this patio was designed. We picked materials from our very favorite vacation and kind of tried to mimic it, and here we are, so.
Yeah, what you're talking about is the vertical opening on this fence. They could put that fence around the whole backyard if it was vertical opening. You can't put a stockade fence, and you can't put this horizontal opening. Like you say, we're talking to our solicitor right now with the mayor and the committee, trying to make some amendments to this or change it, because I don't know what the difference is, to be honest with you. I mean, I know what the intent was at that time. You wanted to stay away from stockade fences. That's not permitted. In the backyard, it's not permitted in the front yard. You got a split rail allowed in the front yard. This type of fence is permitted, not this type of fence, but a vertical opening fence is permitted along your whole property line. 3 foot from the property line to get back.
Did you receive HOA approval?
So we've reached out to our HOA several times, and since we've told them there was a problem, we actually haven't gotten a response back. And I don't know why. My guess is they probably wanted to see how this was, because they don't want to go between two neighbors. And
Right.
obviously, they have issues living next to us. I don't know.
Was there a separate HOA rule or were they relying on the zoning code?
Basically zoning, it's not against our HOA rules. The only
Okay.
thing it says, if you make, I think what it says, changes to your property, that you would have to get approval. And all we did was replace the existing.
Yeah.
fence.
And I guess from what I understand is the panel that we replaced, the previous owner never had permission to do it or something, and that's what I was told. They didn't get it.
Yeah, we normally wouldn't even know.
Right.
No one would see it.
Yeah, we've looked at it for
20 years. and-
some
so
years.
they- Yeah, it was in when we moved in, so we didn't think about it.
But there are throughout the community many fences. I can point to 3 of them, the one Marty's talking about are not vertical, they're horizontal. And they have spaces, and I can name 3 of them, like I said, in my neighborhood, and the one you're speaking of is in my neighborhood. And some are used as a privacy and some are used as a fencing, as she did. So I don't understand, since we do have it throughout the community, why would this one be different than those that have been already permitted throughout the community?
The ones that are probably there now never got permit. And like these people were telling you, once you tear something down in South Russell, you comply with today's zoning. We're running into the problem with decks, accessory structures, additions, but that's the way we regulate it, because you comply with today's zoning once you tear it down. So you might have a bunch running around, but they never got okayed on it.
Well, I know the one did that Marty's talking about because they were in here, but,
Yeah.
and there's a couple in my actual neighborhood that I think had, but regardless, what I'm trying to say is I don't understand because there are a lot of them. And actually, I think they're very attractive. I think it's natural looking what they put up. That's just my opinion. And I'm sure there's a way of, if you feel that there needs to be more space, that something can be done with this easily without having them to go do the expense of having to go vertical instead of horizontal and keep it the way they want it.
Well, I think, Lindsay, you bring up a great point about this really not being a fence. I think the ambiguity of our code just doesn't get to the detail that we want, but I think that's why this board exists, to interpret those gray areas. So I'm there with you.
I think even if it is a fence, which I don't think it is, I think if we go through the factors, we're supposed to consider particular factors when deciding whether or not to issue a variance. If you go through them, I mean, this is not going to impact the essential character of the neighborhood because there was something similar up there prior. There's no adverse effect on receiving any services. They purchased the property without knowing about these restrictions. There is no other option. So if they want privacy screening, this is the way that privacy screening goes up. And no matter what, it wouldn't comply with our zoning regulations. And I think, based on our conversation, the spirit and intent behind the actual zoning requirement is not privacy screening, right? This was written when we're talking farms and large lots. We're not talking about Chagrin Lakes when this was written.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay. Cindy?
No.
Lindsay?
No.
Okay. Anything else you would like to add to the conversation?
No, Lindsay kind of just mentioned the word, and, we were not trying to circumvent anything here. We were just trying to upgrade our property, and we know, and I know even if the law is not an issue, but we would certainly not have done this if it was, or at least not gone through the project.
Sure.
The procedure first, if that were the case, so.
You don't want to spend your Wednesday night with us?
Everything's interesting.
So I will make a motion here. I guess the one thing that I want to be clear, this board very, very frequently, probably 100% of the time, to the best of my recollection, defers to the homeowners association on what they will permit. So my motion to approve will be subject to an HOA approval. So however the board votes on this motion, just recognize that you still have a homeowners association to appease. So I'll leave that in your court. But for BZA case number 25-11 for the property located at 1152 Shearbrook, I make a motion to approve a fencing variance to permit 2 privacy screens without the required 25% vertical openings, subject to HOA approval and payment of any permitting fees that may be required.
Second.
Questions or discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Ruth?
I'm sorry. Andy Hitchcock,
Yes.
Lindsay South,
Yes.
Martin O'Toole,
Yes.
Cindy Matejka.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
All right.
So just a quick question, so once we hear from our HOA, just email.
We're good to go.
Yeah, we're fine.
There'd be a permit fee. Permit fee. The permit fee for the actual permit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a contract you want to pay that?
No, we wouldn't take that before it was,
Okay.
he registered them.
Okay,
He did register with us.
so just have the HOA email you.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
And
Yes,
that should be on your Wednesday.
Okay, very good.
Absolutely. Thank you.
They
Yes.
said you guys might know
I don't know, but,
Yeah.
we certainly watch for that email.
them. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, take care.
So, any old business that the board has?
Nope.
Any new business from the board?
Nope.
All right, well, 7:26, we'll call this meeting to adjourn.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you all for waiting for me.
Lindsay, in reference to your question, you do have a definition for fences.
Okay,
Have you seen it or not? Structures at least 36 inches high and used for enclosures or screening of property.
see, that's fascinating to me because